Hey folks, this is another vlog, Steven Universe episode, season 3 episode something or other. This is Steven Floats and Drop Beat Dad, both of which were two very funny episodes. Not at all what I expected after the very gem-focused, character-focused last several episodes. These were a little bit more laid back, more focused on the human characters, but still good stuff. Let's start with Steven Floats. So Steven has a new power in his repertoire. He can float. It's very much a dream power. Like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have definitely had dreams where I'm, floating slowly to the ground, or, don't quite touch the ground, like low-key versions of flight that aren't quite like what Lapis has. And, it's like all of his powers, it's based on his emotions. Happiness makes him float, which feels right. That's, there's a reason we use bubbly to describe someone who's sort of giddily happy all the time. That's how happiness feels. It's this uplifting, buoyant, bubbling feeling. And the other major thing I took from it, the fresh donuts. That part of it took me back, because when I was a kid, or teenager, when I was in high school, I went to a magnet high school. And because of that, it drew from like 3 counties. So the buses had to go way out there. And in order to avoid rush hour, some of them had to go very early. But at the same time, in order to give the kids, a chance to freaking wake up, they would have to arrive. The school started like an hour later than other schools in the area. So school started at 8:30, but the buses would start showing up sometimes as early as 7:30, because they were trying to avoid traffic. So there were kids who got on the bus at 5 in the morning. And I was not one of them. I, in fact, was, as far as I know, the only kid in my year, and possibly the only kid in the school at the time, who lived within walking distance. So I would walk to school every morning, and at first that meant I would leave the house at like 8:10 to get to school at 8:30. But a couple of good friends of mine were on what was typically the first bus to arrive. So they were typically there by 7:30. So I started coming a little earlier so I could hang out with them. And then I discovered that there was a little mom and pop donut shop on the way that opened at 7 and had fresh donuts first thing in the morning. So I started leaving the house at 7. I would stop at the donut shop and I would be at school around the same time my friends showed up. And every morning I would get hot, fresh out of the oven, donut with strawberry glaze. And understand, these were real donuts. These were not your Midwestern Dunkin' Donuts crap, which are just rings of a cake. These were real donuts, which means these are sweet fry breads. They are gooey and disgusting and amazing. And these were so good. The strawberry frosting on top was perfect, and they just looked like the, platonic form of the donut. The donut that we saw in this episode, the donut that Homer always eats on The Simpsons, you know? The kind of brown, lightly browned ring with the pink frosting on top. And like a little handful of sprinkles. Amazing. And I would get one. I would eat it. Every morning I had one of those for breakfast for like 3 years. So I completely understood Stephen's urgency in getting there because fresh doughnuts are really good. Other than that, it was sort of just an episode that happened. Reaffirmed that, you know, there's a great deal of love between Stephen and the Gems. Had some great, like, laugh out loud lines, mostly coming from Pearl. Her panicking and wanting to catch Stephen. Her, I wanted a hug. Those were great moments. Those were very funny. Garnet leaping sideways out of the frame and then coming back with someone else's phone. It was good stuff. Kind of a throwback to season 1 in a sense. And I mean this not at all in a bad way. It was honestly very welcome after the rather intense run of episodes we've been having for a lot of what feels like all of season 3 so far, and going back well into late season 2. It's been very, very intense, very plot focused, very serialized, and this felt more like basically a standalone. I mean, it does have them returning home for the first time from the farm they were at, and Sadie mentions the earthquake, so it's, a little serialized. But it still mostly felt like, let's take a little break. Let's float a bit. And it was nice. It was just a good, fun episode with no real stakes. Just characters we like, doing fun things, and having an interesting time. Can say much the same for Drop Beat Dad. It was kind of a character study of sour cream. We haven't really seen much of, bits and pieces here and there, but I don't think we've had a focus episode for him before. I know we had seen his mom with Marty in a flashback to when Greg was young. I don't know if we ever got confirmation that he was Marty's son, but now we do. I'm not sure I'd ever really thought about it before. But it seems pretty clear that he's Marty's son and Onion is Yellowtail's son. Given, hair, his hair similarity to Marty, whereas Onion has rather different hair. Onion's hair is colored like Yellowtail's beard. Neither of them talks intelligibly, so on. And it was a good episode. It was yet another, Marty is a terrible, irredeemable human being. I am given to understand that most managers in, talent managers in general and the music industry in particular kind of have that reputation. No idea if it's based in fact or not, but there you go. This is in line with that reputation. And he is particularly terrible. Exploiting his son to advertise this cola that he quote-unquote needs. Which is apparently disgusting, though I love the joke that apparently what makes it disgusting is that it's from concentrate, not that it's a soda made from guacamole. Which just seems like not a good idea. When they first said guacola, I thought for a second it was going to be guava flavored, which would be gross enough. I can't stand guava. But much as I like guacamole, yeah, guacamole soda sounds pretty bad. But I guess being from concentrate is just going a step too far. And so again, some funny jokes in that one. Not exactly a joke, but I love that when he starts yelling at Marty, sour cream starts talking like Yellowtail for a second. Like, that's how he knows how to express anger, is by imitating his dad. His real dad. Because there's a thing they do where over the course of the episode he shifts from referring to Yellowtail disparagingly as his stepdad to calling him dad at the end of the episode. Because, of course, and this is something that I feel fairly strongly about, the real parent is the one who takes care of the child. There's a biological parent and a real parent. It may be the same person, or it might be the adoptive parent that's the real parent. In case of adoption, it usually is the adoptive parent that's the real parent. In some cases, like in cases of neglect and abuse and stuff, you might have a kid whose real parent is a sibling. The real parent is the one who protects and cares for and raises the child. And their genetic or biological relationship doesn't determine which one's real. Because families are social constructs, and it's the social relationship that defines them. So it's the person with whom you have that relationship that is your parent. I feel quite strongly about this, both because I know quite a few adopted people who feel strongly about it. I know people who were adopted. I know people who have adopted children and feel strongly that those are their children. And people who were adopted and are like, this is my mom, referring to the adopted mom. And then I have a biological parent who, in some cases, they don't care about them. In some cases, they get curious and go looking for them, try to contact them. But, yeah, Yellowtail, not Marty, is Sour Cream's dad. Marty is his sperm donor. Marty has abdicated the responsibilities of being his dad very clearly, not showing up for 9 years. So he's abdicated the responsibilities. He doesn't get to keep the title or the relationship. That's how I feel about it anyway. Obviously, if Sour Cream wanted to keep Marty in his life, that's his right. And he does try to. But he eventually realizes that he's better off without him, and that's fine. That's fine too. It really angers me when somebody, like in TV and movies and stuff, where characters will go looking for their quote-unquote real parents. When it's like, your real parents are right there the whole time. Why can't you see them? So I like that this episode went the other way. It went, he does realize who his real dad is. Yellowtail. And there's actually kind of a visual cue to it the whole time, because Sour Cream's design, the pants he's wearing, look to me like fisherman's coveralls that he's just folded down the top, and is just wearing the pants part and has the rest hanging around his waist, which they draw it so that stylistically it resembles baggy pants with chains coming off of them, but coloration-wise, they're like those plastic coveralls that fishermen wear. A little bit less old-fashioned than the poncho that Yellowtail wears, but that makes sense if it's his son. But it's like a cue there that Like, much of who Sour Cream is comes from Yellowtail. So, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that episode. Obviously, or I say obviously, maybe not, maybe they'll just ignore it. But presumably, the thing about Greg suddenly having $10 million at the end of the episode is a cliffhanger. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I'm assuming what happened is that one of his records got sold or did really well in a foreign country or something like that. And Marty is legally obligated to give him payment for it. That seems the most likely thing. But I guess we'll find out. It's also possible that, like, Marty was sued for being a terrible manager and now he has to give all this money, like, with interest to his past clients. Who knows? Point is, I'm interested to see where they go with this. I think that's about it. So I'll see y'all when I watch the next episodes. Bye!